Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. So, there's the block. So, good afternoon and welcome back on Thursday, February 5th, 2026 in-house transportation. We're jumping back in. T-bill is where we're at. We're 11 pages, but we're going to section 4. But we're trying to get the agency's take on each of the sections and then also trying to understand who else might be impacted and who else we need to hear from after we understand what it is they're asking for and why they want changes to the law. So Doreen is with us from the agency, and can you introduce yourself and take over?
Good afternoon. For the record, my name is Doreen Carbonetti. I am the Chief of Contract Administration for the Agency of Transportation. And we're here to discuss Section 4 of the Transportation Bill, which happens to also be on page 4 of your draft packet. We are initially proposing just a technical edit to align the bonding threshold with the updates made to State Bulletin 3.5, which was increasing the simplified bid threshold from $100,000 to $250,000. That would align. Oh, yes.
Are you referencing the T-bill, the current T-bill?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And what page are you
It's
on?
section 4 and it should be page 4.
Thank you.
Would you like me to repeat that?
I got it.
Okay.
Thank you.
So that is the first edit that we are proposing is the
Oh.
technical edit.
Would you mind repeating that? Yes.
Yes, okay, yeah, sure.
Repeat where you are.
So we're proposing a technical edit to align the bonding threshold. To align the bonding threshold with the updates made to State Bulletin 3.5, which increased the simplified bid threshold from 100,000 to 250,000. So that is just to propose to get it in line with the State Bulletin. The other item that we are proposing is to include the emergency process with the inclusion of bonding being waived during immediate emergencies when contractors are deployed instantly to preserve life, safety, and state property. And once that direct threat is eliminated or stabilized, we halt and we go back to our regular procurement process for the permanent work.
Is this something that's come into play a number of, or before, or how, or why?
I think that this was introduced a few years ago, but I don't think it came as far as coming to the House.
What happens differently now than what's going to happen under this language, I guess?
Well, normally, if a project is $100,000 or less, the secretary can waive the bonding requirements, which are a performance bond to make sure they do their job right and according to codes, and a payment bond to ensure that they pay subcontractors and material men. If we raise the threshold to 250,000, we would open up to waive bonds for additional projects up to the 250,000 limit. We did a little data checking, and that really equates to about 12 to a dozen additional contracts for a standard year.
Representative Pouch?
Yeah, I mean, this all makes sense. So, is the secretary approached with each one and say, do you want to waive the bond on this? Or is he like, if it's under, right today, if it's under 100, we're waiting?
Yeah, when emergencies happen, we usually send a form that he does a determination to say that he will do a notice to proceed, so all the contractors can immediately go out. We're going to include on that line if he will waive the bonding for the event. If it's a small event, it would be a particular contractor, but when it's a widespread event like 2023, it would be a waiver for all contractors. And these are contractors that have contracts with us. So it's not anyone new. We already have them under contract. They've been vetted and they have active and compliant insurance.
Is it mostly an issue of $100,000 is not a whole lot at this? I mean, is this an inflation issue?
Yeah, as you're aware, it costs a lot more to build things nowadays, and there's hardly any projects that are, well, there's not many projects that are under 100,000. So this would help us mediate and save costs for our smaller contractors who tend to do this work.
Is there a reason not to be 350 or 500? Was there any discussion of that, or what? What limits to, what's 250 and would 350 make a difference in 500? Or should there be an inflation built in so we're not revisiting it again in X number of years? Or, so there's like two different questions there, but why not 350 or why not 500? And then why not an inflation builder of some sort? Does it make a difference? What's the,
We chose
why pick that number?
250 because it aligns with Bulletin 3.5. For many, many years, our threshold for simplified bid was $100,000, and that lined up with the statute for bonds. And just, I believe in December of 23, we updated State Bulletin 3.5, and they increased the simplified bid threshold to 250. So we thought that would be a good thing to just have it aligned the same.
Can you, for me, State Bulletin, not something I'm very familiar with before, anticipating some other members' questions as they shake their head.
Absolutely.
Those of us that don't know, what does it mean to be State Bulletin?
State Bulletin 3.5 is our state guidance on procurement and contracting.
And that's statewide for every agency?
Yes.
Ooh.
AOA, the Agency of Administration, handles the updates and oversees that bulletin.
Okay. I'm sure all of you knew that. So, no, I didn't. I know, but, is there a downside to not doing this? Is there a downside to doing it, a downside to not doing it?
I think there's a downside to not do it because it increases costs to our smaller contractors who are the ones that are obviously doing most of this 250 and less work. It does slow down the process. Bids take bonds take a few days to get. It's a lot of administrative burden to do that. And the upside is the change to incorporate emergency clarifies that we can waive that during an emergency for any level of cost.
Anybody have any other?
Just, you mentioned it's gonna be by going up by, 150,000. You're gonna add potentially another 12 to it. What is it adding 12 to? What's the?
In 2023, when we had our major flooding event, it was about 25 task orders,
Yeah.
projects that went over the $100,000 limit, or under that we could waive. And then between 250 and less, there was like another 12 to 15 added on top of that.
So you're talking about 37, under 50.
Yes.
Representative Warren?
And by waiving or increasing the threshold, that just allows AOT to respond more quickly to send vendors on the job without having to wait to get the paperwork.
Yes, it also, in emergencies, it's just get the people out there and get them, doing what they need to do. And with the regular work, it does shorten the time to get everything finalized and get them out to mobilize for the regular work as well.
There was notes when we were presented from council on page 6, 9A. I note that our council had made a slight change to your language or had added a line regarding after the payment of taxes, state and municipal, and then added payment of unemployment insurance contributions. Then there became a discussion about whether we had to list out more items or it should be all sort of included and encompassing in the payment of taxes, all applicable taxes or something. Have you seen the lines like 13, 14, 15 in that section? Or I think our ledge council said he had adjust that language a little bit, particularly that payment of unemployment insurance. You're certainly welcome to my copy or not. Maybe I misunderstood what he said. I just want to make sure there's no, I thought he had said he'd make an adjustment to that line. I have a note right here. Ledge council added a couple of that line about payment of unemployment insurance and has AOT should make a comment on that. My note from our ledge council presentation, lines 12, 13, 14, and 15, section 9A. well, I guess it's actually probably some other, I think it's 9A, yeah, 9A.
Maureen Parker, Deputy Director of Division Administration, and I can say that we did some research before bringing this forward. And it's been at least 20, if not 30 years that nobody could recall ever us calling a bond because of non-compliance. So I just thought I'd bring that forward, that we can include, but this is a rarity that we have to call a bond.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
I believe that the reason he put in unemployment insurance was because it says payment of taxes, both state and municipal, period, and insurance is not taxes.
Didn't a few years ago,
I remember when Rochester kind of got messed up, some bridges were taken out and stuff. I can't, storm was that? That was just a few years ago,
Tropical storm Irene.
possibly. Yeah, I can't. The governor stepped in and did something and got everybody,
They said they don't care what you do, just get it done. That's
got it done.
Waived all.
So,
Before, they waived everything.
so he could actually step in anyways and then waive all them bonding issues anyways.
You could.
And so this bonding, the increase in, where you don't have to be bonded, I guess I lost my train of thought on that one.
That is really pertains to also the just regularly scheduled work. The emergency work always takes precedence. It's get out there and get it taken care of. But the threshold also includes just regularly scheduled repair and maintenance that we would be doing to assist in decreased costs for the smaller contractors and to speed up their ability to be able to go and start work.
There won't be any risk to the state or to the taxpayers, right?
No, absolutely not. I actually spoke with risk management at the AOA's office and they were supportive of this change.
I'm good, thanks.
Yeah.
any other questions, concerns, comments? How about the question of who else would possibly be impacted by this that would have something to say? Something to testify, a comment, a concern? Who would be impacted parties that could potentially want or not want this
We
change?
took into consideration the actual contractors and we reached out to the Associated General Contractors Group. And Mr. Wabi did reach out to some of his major highway contractors to see their thoughts and the AGC was supportive of the change as well.
Yeah, that's. Yeah, right.
It used to be Musgrove, it used to be Sarah, then it used to be, they're all, it's all different now. Now it's all directly. It's stuff, yep.
Moving chairs.
Yes, yes, in that case, okay, yeah. Anybody have any other thoughts about this particular piece? Thank you very much for coming in, I very much appreciate it. And
Thank you for inviting me.
Doreen was clearly well prepared.
I love contracting.
You got me
We need
convinced.
people like you.
You have me convinced, I can certainly tell you that, she certainly left me with the impression she knows what she's doing.
Wonderful to work with for 15, 20 years now.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. I certainly was convinced that she knew what she was talking about. So I was certainly convinced that she knew what she was talking about.
Yeah.
Not an area that probably a lot of people know a lot about. Let's move to section 7. A really short piece. Ross, I'm sorry to drag you all the way in here for the short section, but I appreciate you coming back and hopefully you had other things going on. We're doing our due diligence to try to understand what's in the T-bill, why you're asking for it, what the change is, what does it impact, and why we shouldn't do more or less or whatever it is. So that's just what we're doing when we go through the language and introduce, head it to you and introduce, and everybody flip over to page 10 of 11, section 7.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Ross McDonald, Public Transit Program Manager. And this is a house cleaning effort based on some changes to the membership of the Public Transit Advisory Council, of which Representative Burke sits on. And the community, these are the folks who are appointed to the council. And we used to have a representative from the Community of Vermont Elders, or COVE, and that program is since folded. Concurrent to that, we've been working with AARP for many, many years, and Kelly Stoddard Poor, and we have asked her to replace the former COVE representative, and she's been at all of our PTAC meetings for the last year plus, and is somebody we work with quite a bit. So that's a change that makes all the sense in the world. And then the other one was we would have a private bus operator, taxi services, and a representative from Vermont intercity private bus operators. And in the past, it was maybe a little difficult to get some intercity bus membership to participate, folks at Greyhound and Megabus and those things. Right now, we have Premier Coach, who is running our intercity services along Route 7, as well as representing the private bus operators. And so really through that one membership, we're getting representation from both of those perspectives. And I'll be running up there next Wednesday to meet with them just to review their contract with us and their services. Chip Desautel, their operations manager, has been a PTAC participant consistently for 5 years now or more. So those are the changes that will just allow us to better reflect those who are coming to our quarterly Public Transit Advisory Council meetings. We do have some work to do there's always some transitions through representatives with agencies and the like, but I would defer to Representative Molly Burke to weigh in if there's any holes in the representation, but that's all we need as it relates to this section.
Representative Case?
If people are on the board,
There's council, the counselors, there's 17 folks, and we invite about 30 people because you have some regional planning commissions who want to join us. Our planning shop to help us coordinate. A lot of the changes in the last 5 years have been participation through other agencies, Department of Health and Division of Aging and Independent Living are working with us and participating in an increased level than when I started so many years ago.
that list you can find, is that?
Sure. Yeah, on our PTAC list, I'll leave this with you. And the highlights are somewhere where I need, a replacement for the person from ACCB and those types of things.
Yep.
Yeah, great.
Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks.
So to take it, you got 17 voting members and the other 30 that you invite are sort of like there for support.
Interested parties, advocates, we may be talking about an issue and having a category expert come in to talk about those.
But they're not voting.
That's correct.
Yeah, so I'm assuming maybe the 30, I guess my question is, of the 30 extra people, has there been any requests for them to be a voting member? I know your ARP sounds like they're well suited for it, but has there been other requests outside of ARP for being a voting member on that committee?
There haven't been. This is from our internal review with Michelle, my director at the time.
Yeah.
Just reviewing who's coming, who's going, and should we, restate some of this membership just to better reflect the participation.
Yep, no, that's great. I was just wondering if it was, somebody else we should listen.
If that were the case, we certainly would be open to having, the more participation and perspectives have been valuable.
Anybody else have questions? Just asked our committee assistant to check and see if Damien can come a little earlier for the next piece. We could have used this time this morning. Representative Burke?
Yeah, I just want to say that I think that, it's a very valuable meeting, quarterly. Or every 3 months, to discuss specific issues. Sometimes it's looking at the policy plan, sometimes it's just different issues that are public transit related that helpful for me as a legislator to know, but also I think just to come together with a variety of different statewide stakeholders.
Looking at what else you want to add. Could take you in the direction of public transit on a whole nother area, right? We just received I think all the House members received an update from Green Mountain Transit, but that would get us down into a whole different level of discussions and pieces. Unless there is anything else you want to update us on and whatnot. Oh, Representative Casey has a question.
What's electric buses doing?
Not great. Not as we discussed in the budget testimony, the charging and those new flyers that the 6 that are up there that are waiting to be fixed. As you saw, they're looking at what Representative Kaiser had mentioned, which is some compensation for the downtime. We did rally the other providers to offer more vehicles to GMT to make up for those. Generally, our fleets have about a 15 to 20% spare ratio. And so those 6 are well within that 15, 20%. It's not ideal when they are running in advanced transit, the sprinters, warm weather, everyone likes them.
Yeah.
But we have those challenges to overcome. And it was really disappointing to see after all those investments in time, the procurements, the delays in delivery, getting them on the road. And as I mentioned in March, we'll have that snapshot of the operational impacts of all of those electric vehicles. I'll be making sure that you guys get a copy of that.
Yeah. They've been, otherwise they work all right. Are they actually down? Is it just the cold that's taking them out right now? I mean, it's like, say by 6 weeks, just according to the wood shop, 6 weeks, you should be able to pull them out and
Yeah,
use them again.
that woodchuck meant a little bit more this year to our operations than in the past. Even if this was next year, the indoor charging project will have been completed at GMT. So even with those vehicles not being able to be charged at 40 degrees or less, they would have that option to go inside and be charged next year. So we're catching up with that facility fit up.
Okay.
But it's not, but the timing hasn't worked for this season.
So if they were inside, you probably would have the outcome. You could probably go out and run them and they'd be all right for the day.
That's
Or
right.
last the day, do they?
Yeah, and so the larger buses have the range to cover more than 70-80% of our routes, even under those cold conditions. But if you can't charge them inside because of rules, regulations, we don't have the sprinkler system up and running, those types of things. And then they're stuck outside and then we can't charge them up there.
But that's gonna be all set. So,
That's correct. And we do expect to be able to charge the buses outside in the future once these batteries are recalled and get fixed.
you gotta take the batteries right out, they freeze or something? or-
I don't know what the exact issue is, and I wouldn't want to speak to the mechanical fix.
Yeah, no,
But they do need to go back to the factory and be either replaced or fixed.
Still,
I don't know, they're gonna take care of it.
Yeah.
Buy bus.
Just-
You want to take that?
Yeah,
one?
just
I
to
just
sort
wanna
of
say-
clarify, in this case, the company who provided the buses is recalling the batteries because there's some kind of defect. And that they're saying, hey, don't charge them, inside. And so, once the batteries are replaced by the company and potentially some additional funds to cover the additional costs because of this problem, they should be back on the road and trying fine.
That is the plan.
So, it's not necessarily the technology of battery buses, but these particular batteries were bad in the same way, any car might have a recall for whatever it might be.
We really rushed these manufacturers to the market, and we're starting to see some of those impacts, I'm afraid.
When you originally purchased, when the purchase, when the purchase was made, the specs were going to allow them to charge under 41 degrees.
Absolutely.
This is part of the recall, that
That's
you didn't
right.
buy a bus that said, not you.
Of course he
You
did.
didn't buy the buses. The buses weren't bought knowing they could never use them under 41 degrees.
That's exactly.
They were expected to be able to charge them below freezing.
You know, when we're in these new dynamic areas, all I know is what the last salesperson tells me, I'm afraid. You know, and when we send out the specs and they bid without a lot of history to look on, we really are trusting the manufacturer to follow through on their commitments. And that's why we're hoping those contract parameters will allow for some compensation.
Still are all outside in colors now, either way. Bad sight, bad optics, right? But
Yes.
It's bad optics, but
Burnt buildings bad optics.
does anybody know that the company's gonna be solid for all of
Yeah,
this?
well, that's
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, is that,
We haven't heard anything,
Good.
you know, to the contrary, but this is certainly something that their insurances are going to have to cover. And it was an unforeseen cost for them, I'm sure. The Gilligs that we have, which are traditionally the better bus, the best bus you can buy in the market, those electric vehicles came on the market a few years after New Flyer, and they're performing as billed. And I remember my predecessor telling me, we'll buy electric buses when Gillig comes up with an electric bus, because then she would have that confidence. I think about that a lot, especially when my wife comes down to see the Snowhawks. I was like, how did you not see that happen?
Well, we can, I think, say thank you for coming in. We can move to a level of discussion if we'd like, or we can. We asked Damon to come in a few minutes early. He's sort of on his way. And so, it was almost like it was meant to do.
Yeah, great timing.
Thanks, Rob.
Hey, Ross, where do you run those buses?
No, they're, all of our providers, but Southeast, we can adjourn until he shows up.
Yeah, I'd like to say that these are two horrible sections, but they're all text. Nothing to. Almost hybrid. Well, except for the attorney, contract issues, but.
Used for Vermont.
Yeah.
We got a couple. There's nothing.
So
So what will happen is then we'll have them confirm their position on that. And then I'll look at whatever's left there, and then we'll do that thing where we'll go through and thumb up each section and see where we're at from there, and then we're going back to the budget, and we're going back to a few other pieces, but anyway, as far as the T-bill goes, unless something changes, the initial version will get thumbed up all the way through here fairly soon, I suspect. I don't think there's any thumbs down sections, but